What is up, guys? I am blessed to see you guys here back to this channel with a guest of mine that I found at the NECWQ here. You guys may know him as the Insane. So shout out to that channel there. He's way bigger than me, and he's here to show us what retro format that you wanted to play.
So the fan name is Meadowlands format because it's YCS Meadowlands, but the technical is Time Wizard May 2013.
I see. And out of all the retro formats, why this in particular do you like about?
Several reasons. One, Mermail is just my favorite deck of all time, and it's the best deck of the format. And I have it in max rarity, so any excuse I can use to drop ulti Dragoons on people, I'm going to use it.
Awesome. Okay, and do you remember your matchups before we get into your deck profiles?
Yeah, so round 1 was Worms. Round 2 was Hero. Okay. And then round 3 was X-Saber.
There he goes. Pretty diverse already.
Yeah, it's a very diverse, like, even though that this is the best deck by far, it's still a very diverse format, and like, this being the best deck doesn't mean anything. This format is so old, it's way before all those wombo combos and like just breaking or making an unbreakable board. So like, all of those decks are still very meta relevant and still very competitive.
I see. I'm an Edison content creator. Have you tried playing Edison before, or have you?
No, Edison was a little bit before I got into the competitive scene, so I don't really have the same like nostalgia for it.
I see.
But this is like my bread and butter.
Okay, cool, awesome. Let's check out the deck file and see what you got cooking up.
Yeah, of course. So we'll just move everything off to the side for now. Obviously we have 3 of the main man himself, Mermail, Abyss, Megalo. This is just how you're able to go for game. Whether you go first or second, this card's insane. You can either search like complete like combos during your opponent's turn, or just blow them out of the water with double attacking. Then we have our 3 copies of Teus, consistency card, being able to search and summon, and then of course you have the stuff that you're going to discard for the searches. We do have 1 copy of Lead. You're never going to summon this from the deck. You're actually only going to summon it off of Lind when Lind dies, but it's definitely worth having. We are on 3 copies of Pike. You can discard to search, and it searches any level 3, so there's quite a lot of search targets for it. And then like, because you can summon it during your opponent's turn, you can use it to do stuff like discard any of the Atlantians to like pop their cards, which is just crazy. We have 2 Abyss Gund. This is the reborner of the deck. You discard it, you reborn. Pretty self-explanatory.
Before we continue, so Abyss Gun, is that at 3 in this format?
Yes, it is at 3.
Okay,
the only reason I'm at 2 is because like, you don't want to brick on it. Like, there's not a lot of ways to discard it other than all of the Mermail monsters I showed before it.
I see.
So like, if you open up too many copies of it and not enough of the discarders, you just end up bricking on it.
I see. So you want to lessen it down to 2.
Yeah.
So you don't brick on it, even though it's limited later?
Exactly.
Yeah, limited.
So we are on 2 copies of Lind. I'm going to wait for the announcements. I'm on 2 copies of Lind. This should be at 3. I do have the 3rd one over here, but I ended up not playing it in the event because I wasn't able to finish the deck the exact way that I wanted to. The reason you want this at 3 is because if you go first, it's just incredible to be able to like set, and then if they kill it, you summon any of your Mermails from your deck. It's a really good summon off of the trap card, so like maxing this out is definitely what you're supposed to do. I just didn't have the opportunity to do it because my deck wasn't optimized the way that I wanted it to be.
Okay.
And that's it for the Mermails. We have 3 copies of Atlantian Dragoons. This is the most important card in the deck. Incredible. Anytime you send it to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect, you get to search Sea Serpent. And that counts for Abyss Dweller as well. So nice. If you have it as material under Abyss Dweller, you detach for cost for the Dweller, you get a search off the Dragoon, and that's just ridiculous.
Right.
We are on 2 copies of the Heavy Infantry. You can argue that this should be at 3. I don't think it's necessary at 3. This format is back when like a lot of the games were slower and traps were more important, so popping face-ups isn't as mandatory. But you definitely want it because, like I said, you can do something like summon Pike on your opponent's turn, pitch this, then Pike will search, and this will pop. So just really good utility. Don't make fun of my rarities. We have 3 copies of Marksman. So it's really important. Like I said, this is more of like a back row heavy format. So being able to pop face downs, which is what this one does when discarded, is really, really good. Not just carded, but sent by a water effect. So yeah, really, really strong. Then we have 3 copies of Deep Sea Diva. Again, mismatch rarities here, but really, really good card. Not only is it a Sea Serpent, it gets you your Atlantians out of your deck. There's some really cool synchros that you can make with it. I didn't do too many of them. I mostly used Armory Arm, but it still got in there. And then we are on the 1 copy of Mullen Glacia. This is just a hand rip card. It's really easy to get out. You only need 5 monsters in your graveyard, and then it's just a 2800 meter. And then the only 2 hand traps in the deck are 2 copies of Max C.
Why 2?
So these weren't actually even supposed to be in the main. I was supposed to be playing these in the side, but since I couldn't find all of the cards that I needed, I said, whatever, we're just going to throw these in, and that's why I cut this, because I had 1 spot left, but 1 Max C didn't feel good, so I took that out and put it in 2.
Yeah.
And it worked out really well. I resolved it every single game, and
Very
it just
good.
put me so far ahead. That's it for the monsters. Onto the spells, we have 3 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. Really good in this format. Again, it's a very back row heavy format. Like 2 of my rounds, both games, I just blind MST'd into their like 1 or 2 back row, and it was Warning or Judgment. So like this just put me so far ahead for no reason.
Got it.
We have several one-ofs. We've got our Dark Hole, our Heavy Storm, our Monster Reborn. Pretty self-explanatory. Again, really heavy back row format. Really good to just be able to clear the board because Mermails can OTK like nobody's business, which is also why you have the Monster Reborn. Just putting more damage on board gets you so far ahead. Then the 1 copy of Pot of Avarice and the 1 copy of Salvage. These are your recursion cards, just to make sure that you never really run out of gas. Then onto the traps, we have 3 copies of Abyss Sphere. This is searchable off of the Megalo, and it's really, really good because, first off, so I'll go over it when we're in the extra deck a little bit, but the big thing is since this is such a back row heavy format and there's a lot of back row removal, you can chain this to your opponent trying to remove your back row, and then like summon the Lind, and then because this gets removed, its effect is whenever it leaves the field, it destroys what was summoned by its effect, destroys the Lind, and then Lind, when it's destroyed, summons from deck.
Yes, of course.
So kind of a little cool combo there, but also you're able to use it on your opponent's turn to interrupt them. You can use it to summon something like Pike, and then like I said, Pike will discard Infantry or Marksman, and then you can pop a face up or face down, so it's just like a lot of interruption.
Yes.
And then the final card that we have is 1 copy of Breakthrough Skill. This is just kind of effect negation. I had extra room, so that's what I threw in, and it worked out really well. So that's going to be the main deck.
Okay, awesome. Is that 40 cards?
Yes, it is at. All right, so now moving on to the extra deck, we have 1 copy of Armory Arm. This was my 2nd most made extra deck card, just because you are able to give Megalo more attack. So you can make Megalo up to a 3,400 attack beater that attacks twice. That's 6,800 total off of a single card. Cataster, just really good to be able to swing into things and auto kill them since they are not darks. Librarian, this is for some of the wombo combo hands that you see, where you can like make Librarian, then make Armory Arm, draw a card, and like just keep going. We are on a copy of Duloran. There's a really cool interaction with the Duloran because whenever a card leaves the field, or whenever the sphere leaves the field, it destroys what it sent. So you can like sphere, activate, summon Lind, use Duloran, send your own sphere back to your hand, pop the Lind, and get a summon off the Lind, and then just reset this again for like able to keep going.
I see.
So really, really cool. 1 copy of Black Rose Dragon, just because sometimes you need to nuke the field. 1 copy of Gungnir. This won me my finals. By being able to discard a card and then get rid of one of my opponent's cards. The card I discarded was Gunge, so I was able to resummon my Megalo, and that's just game.
Very cool.
And then the last synchro is going to be Scrap Dragon. Again, just removal is really important. That is it for the synchros. Onto the XYZs, we have a copy of Gachi Gachi Gantetsu. This is another one of the cards that I wasn't supposed to play, but I did because I wasn't able to get everything that I needed. This should be the rank 3, the Mermail Abyss trait.
Okay.
Then we have a number 17 Leviathan Dragon and a Wind Up Zenmanes as our rank 3s. Just able to push for more damage and keep yourself alive. This is also important because it helps you out important floodgates. I was looking at one of the other people in the pod and they were playing Dimension Fissure, which ruins this deck because you have to be able to send the monsters to the graveyard. So like, if I ended up going against him and he hit the Dimension Fissure, I sit on this, wait for him to try to get over it, and then end phase this will pop the fissure. This was my most summoned card, the Dweller. This is insane because you actually get your Dragoon's effect off of the Dweller effect because it sends as a cost for a water monster. So there were times where like I wasn't even against a graveyard strategy, but I did this for multiple searches, and like that's just insane. Then we have the 1 copy of Bahamut Shark. This is useless without the trite because there's really not much you can summon other than the number 17, but it still works, so it's there. Then we have a couple of rank 7s. We have our 1 copy of Big Eye and double Abyss Gaios. Big Eye is really good to just be able to take monsters your opponent has that you might not be able to clear, and the Gaios is a skill drain on legs for anything with less attack than itself, which 2800 is very high for this format.
Right.
So yeah, that's the extra deck. And then the side deck, we have our 3rd copy of Maxi, since we weren't putting it in the main. We have our 3 copies of DD Crow. This is just really good removal because there are a lot of like centric decks in this format. We are on 2 copies of Snowman Eater. It's just really good removal. We have Gores and Tragodia. These are the answers for the mirror match, which I'm not sure if there were any in the pod that I was in, but they're really good because they stop the attacks. And this is the level 7, so it actually synergizes with the Mermails as well. Then we have our second and third breakthrough skill. So if we're going first, we just have additional effect negate. And to round it out, we are on 3 copies of Mind Crush. This is, since it's a Time Wizard format, we're still playing under the old rules. So Mind Crush lets you look at your opponent's hand to confirm whether or not they have it, which CAD knowledge is really, really important. That's only 13 cards because honestly, I didn't have all the cards I needed, but it worked out.
Got it. And is that all of it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's everything.
Some questions about Mind Crush. Usually nowadays with the current policy rules, they don't show their hand. So they do retro format rulings with current policies.
Whenever you play a retro format, you play with the cards as they were ruled in that format.
Right. And then, with Mind Crush, it's a policy thing. They've ruled it as a policy thing, so they don't discard. They don't show their hand.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, just to let you know in the future. If you ever go to another Meadowlands tournament, yeah. But that's gonna be rare. And but yeah, always very nice to have you on my channel, and it was a blessing to have you here.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Ian, and I'll see you next time.
Yep.